Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 1995's The Usual Suspects, starring Kevin Spacey as Verbal. In The Usual Suspects, a lone survivor recounts the events of a gunfight on a boat, which started when 5 convicts met in a police lineup, seemingly at random. And so we have The Usual Suspects. So guys, this is a movie in the series. Before watching and reviewing it today, I had not seen it before. Though for years now I've been meaning to watch this one because I've heard really good things about it. So, what did I think of The Usual Suspects? Now, I might as well address the elephant in the room. Obviously, a lot of people probably might be turned off this movie now because of Kevin Spacey. A lot of people these days despise Kevin Spacey, and I can fully understand why they would. But for me, honestly, despite everything, Kevin Spacey was still a really good actor, so it comes to a certain point where you got to detach yourself from real life and just, watch a movie. Obviously, not that I condone anything that Kevin Spacey did or did not do. I just, wanted to watch a film. But still, with that out of the way, let's get to the actual movie now. I do have to admit, initially, I was a little bit confused with the actual timeline, because The Usual Suspects shifts between different points in time. Starts off in present day, jumps about 6 months in the past, and then a couple of weeks. And at first, it can be a little bit difficult to figure out where they're at in the story. But this didn't last for very long, and eventually I was able to figure out, where the story was. Easily, the most iconic scene from The Usual Suspects is the lineup scene, which, unfortunately, I didn't get much entertainment out of it because I'd seen it so many times throughout the years. Whether it's on like random YouTube top 10 lists or referenced in other things, I've pretty much seen this scene to death now. Don't get me wrong, it's still a really good scene, and I heard apparently that it's near enough entirely improvised by the actors. But still, watching it now after seeing it so many times over the years, it just didn't really have the same impact that it probably would if, obviously, I hadn't seen it before. But still, good scene nonetheless. But the performances, though, everyone in this movie, really good. For me personally, even though everyone was really good in this, I don't think they stood out as much as Kevin Spacey did. And obviously a lot of other people thought so because he ended up winning a Best Supporting Actor for this one. But I do question that because I would argue that Kevin Spacey is the lead for this movie, because the movie spends most of the time following him, and it's through him that we learn the details of the events leading up to the present day. But obviously the Oscars aren't really the be-all, end-all, because it's not really the first time they've done this kind of thing. Like the first Godfather movie, Al Pacino, arguably the lead of that movie, got nominated for Best Supporting Actor Oscar. And Marlon Brando, not in the movie for all that much, but won a Best Leading Actor Oscar for that film. But still, despite all that, Kevin Spacey was still really good in this film. He had a very layered and interesting character because at the forefront, he comes off as quite weak and passive and just not all that impressive. But as time goes on, you see that he's definitely much more than that. But I do have to say, though, that a lot of my enjoyment of this film was kind of squandered a bit because I knew what the big twist reveal of the movie was. Now, I'm not going to say what it was for those of you who haven't seen the film. But basically, one of the big reveals of this film is the identity of Keyser Söze. And unfortunately, I knew who it was when I went into this film. But still, knowing who it was, it didn't actually fully ruin my experience, because I still felt the same air of mystery and suspense that the movie was trying to create. And actually, leading up to it, I was still actually doubting the identity of Keyser Söze. But it's when all the pieces are put together and the big reveal happens, and it just makes a lot more sense. Though still, it would have been much, much better had I not known who it was going into this one. And actually, it would have made me rate the movie a lot higher than I initially would. But still, the rest of the movie, really good. Storytelling, pacing, direction, everything about this movie was just really enjoyable. So guys, would I consider The Usual Suspects a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? Even though going into The Usual Suspects, I did know the twist, I still really enjoyed this film. And I can see why so many people consider this movie a cult classic. It's got pretty much everything going for it. Really good story, good acting, good direction, all around really interesting and well-made film. It's just, at the end of the day, I wouldn't consider this movie a personal cult classic. Because honestly, I don't think I enjoyed this one as much as most other people did. Not that I'm knocking it for any particular reason, it's just I don't really rate it as high as many other people do. But would I recommend that you should see The Usual Suspects? Yes, I would still definitely recommend that you should watch The Usual Suspects. Because when all the pieces are put together and you see the big reveal at the end, it just makes the whole movie worth it. But honestly, even if you do know the ending, I would still say that you should watch this one anyway, because everything leading up to it is just excellent. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review, The Usual Suspects. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!